we go.
Nope, 54 pages last week.
54 pages left.
Out of 171.
It's not a lot.
I believe it's 171. Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah, 171. Where he says bye at the end. Bye.
Oh,
Gonna-
ebooks designer freelancer. Great.
Pardon?
There's a person in the chat. We have somebody in the chat.
Hey.
Hey, welcome.
Person in the chat, thanks for being awake this early in the morning or mid-morning, wherever you are in the world. We'll pop that comment up. Ebooks designer freelancer. There you are. Great. Thanks for being here, ebooks designer. We're looking at another book. And I can't get my lighting right again. Let me see.
Well, it looked okay there for a sec. It's black and white. You're fine.
Aim the lamps right at the work, and it's about as good as it's going to get. We all right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Running the opening.
Uh,
Go for it.
And ebooks, if you need ebooks with pop-up, please DM me. Hashtag always promote.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I have a strange feeling that our guest might be a bot, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I hope not. Here we go with the opening.
What was that? This is not a charade. We need total concentration. Now, once again, this time, with theory.
Not just any concentration, folks. Toto concentration today.
Toto.
Toto. That's the little dog in Wizard of Oz.
It is. Yep.
And a rock and roll band from like the 80s and 90s, I believe.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure
Africa.
they're still touring. Alex Toth, One for the Road. Folks, here's a collection of his DragToon and cartoon strips. Ran in DragToon and Cartoon magazine.
That's drag as in motor racing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not the modern day.
No. Just to clarify.
Yes, just to clarify. Though there might be a couple of guys dressed as women in this book.
It's always possible.
It's always possible. But they're all mechanical. So you see by all the auto parts there. Motor story.
that clarification was very important because I couldn't tell looking at the pictures there that it wasn't about motorsports.
Well, especially with a face like that one right there. There you go. Yeah, you never know. And this guy's half in shadows outside of his helmet and goggles.
Love the way he's holding that bonnet up. It's the
helmet?
No, the anatomy on the bonnet. Panel 4, left-hand page.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Oh, we call that a hood.
Oh, hood. Right.
Yeah.
There's a bonnet over here.
Sorry.
Yeah. He's holding up the hood there, and just the anatomy. Just brilliant.
That's the first time I've heard that used, but yeah.
Bonnet.
Cool.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. Bonnet.
It took me a while to realize what you called a boot, too, because I thought it was kind of funny.
Oh, boot, as in against booter. Yeah, the boot is at the back because you put stuff in, and the bonnet is at the front. So that's your hood. So the bonnet is the hood, and the boot is the trunk. Yeah.
Yes. There we are.
There's
something new every day.
I have a strange feeling Russ is just holding back all the English slang all the time.
I could be constantly abusive in English if you wanted me to. I do a line of conversion from American to English and back again.
And a bum isn't something you see on the street every day.
A bum.
Yeah.
Get out of here, you bum.
Yeah.
No,
bum.
my bum is my posterior, which is your tush.
But anyway.
But.
Yep. Motor Story, Alex Toth, lots of car parts. Here we go.
It's just, yeah.
Wonderful use of dual shade here.
Yeah. And blacks.
As more time goes by, the less people realize what dual shade is. It's a it's an art board that was covered in a light. It was printed in a light blue pattern that was chemically treated. Sometimes it's a crosshatch, sometimes it's just tone, sometimes it's dots, and you have two different chemicals that you apply to it, both of which I understand are quite toxic under today's standards. You painted the first chemical down and you got a light shade. You painted the other chemical down and you got the darker shade. And you were able to do some pretty awesome effects by painting your gray tone onto the board. So we saw that used here a lot from about the 40s on, maybe the 30s on, in a lot of editorial cartoons. It transferred
really
over
nice.
comics pretty well. Yeah, that was pretty handy. It's real easy to abuse too. So you have to know just how to put just enough down to get your tone, or you end up with a grayed out almost badly.
Obviously, I'm seeing that book through a webcam.
Yeah.
Are those blacks like jet black, or are they just off black?
The blacks here, yeah, they're jet black.
Yeah.
They're solid,
I'm just wondering how, because as far as scanning in artwork with grey tones, how that works. Because, you know, the process I have to go through to scan in a like an inked piece of work, which is never properly jet black. It's always a tone of grey, and then you have to fiddle with it in whatever application you may have after you've scanned it, so that you can get it to be a perfect black.
Let me see if I can tighten this up on the camera so that you can
doing
see
that. Doing that with grey tones, it's an absolute nightmare.
This isn't gray tones. This is a series of dots.
I see. Right. Okay. That's why it's working. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And works incredibly well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it all depends upon the board, the dual shade board that you get. I've had stuff that's had cross hatching lines on
Right.
it. The first chemical lays down lines going
yeah,
diagonally in one direction. The second chemical brings both the lines out.
God, that's an art in itself and a skill forgotten.
It is. It is
indeed. Then in the top or the left page or top panel there, you talked before. Well, the whole left page there, but you talked before about being able to identify a reference image, right? Like using like you're saying, it was almost it wasn't really insulting, but it wasn't condescending. It was like, on one hand you praised the ability of him to just draw something, you know, and then there was a slight downturn when you talked about using reference. So I'm out of curiosity, how do you tell? And
when you say reference, what do you mean? Because there's nothing wrong with using reference for anything.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. Yeah.
No, in fact, reference is key in order to make sure. If you're talking about tracing, that's a whole different kettle of fish. There's, again, tracing is okay, but as long as you don't rely on it, and that's why when you look back at these artists and you look at the ability without digital tools, effectively, to be able to reference items, things, people, animals, whatever, reference them, and then convert them into a believable drawing, however wacky that drawing may be, okay, whatever style may be applied to it, is a completely different skill set to nipping onto Google, finding a photo reference and tracing it and putting it into your strip. That's tracing, that's not referencing.
Yeah. For these guys back in the day, they used to have numerous file cabinets that had different photo references in it. Most of their magazines would end up being
when I came back to
scarfed up, cut up, and put into files.
When I came back to illustration in 2010 and decided I was going to draw comics, or at least give it a go, at the time I had multiple binders full of references to anything from horses to hands to skyscrapers to cars.
Yeah.
I've still got lots of like coffee table books with images in them of all kinds of different things.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
you know, subjects that I'm not interested in just because they're great reference.
Yeah.
And it's you know, it has changed. I mean, now if I want reference, I'll nip onto Google, I'll go and get some reference. The only difference is I rarely trace.
Bing it. Yeah.
It's just easier to go onto Google or Bing or whatever than it is to flick through a massive book that you've got sitting up on your shelf.
Yeah.
So the access to that reference library is so much quicker. But taking it that next step and effectively not drawing it yourself, just tracing. And again, tracing is not an evil thing. If you ask any of the older guys, like, you know, Neil Adams was famous for saying any artist that says they've never traced is lying. You know, and is it Toth you were saying, if you can't trace it, if you can't draw it, trace it, if you can't trace it, nick it from someone else.
That was Wally Wood.
Wally Wood. That's it.
Wood
Wally
had a
Wood.
saying like that.
Yeah.
Don't,
and Wally
don't
Wood
draw
was
what you can't, what you can trace. Don't or
Wally Wood was an impeccable artist.
Yes. He
okay.
was.
And I think that the point is that it doesn't matter whether it's using 3D models or whether it's using photographic work that you trace from. If you rely on those elements, your sequential storytelling abilities will suffer.
Yeah.
It's not that you can't use those things, because we all do, and we all should, because you should use any tool that you can in order to make a great strip. But if you rely on static things like pictures that you have no control of because they're referenced from a book or an internet, okay, or you just trace over, say, 3D models, okay, instead of creating those things as the artist, instead of creating those environments and those things in your mind in a three-dimensional way and then laying it down and just using the reference where you can, if it works with your story, if you don't do those things, your sequential storytelling will be stiff and it won't flow and it won't be as good as stuff like this. It's in my mind that it's a very simple equation. It's like, use the tools that are there. Do not rely on them. You should be relying on your ability to tell a story. And I had that trouble, you know, like, you've got to learn as an artist, you have to learn this process and you have to do it again and again and again. And, you know, back in the day, 10 years ago when I started, there were panels that I had the idea in my head of what I wanted in the panel, and I would change the panel because I couldn't draw it, because I could not do it then. And now no panel frightens me. Doesn't mean I'm going to draw it brilliantly, but it means that I've got enough exercise in my sequential art abilities that I will put any angle and any panel down if I think it drives the story forward.
Right.
Rather than waiting for the right reference photograph so that I can trace it in. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, you know, I definitely get that. For sure.
Flip the page, Randy. Flip the page.
I was going to point out that this panel, that panel, and that panel were probably all done with photo reference.
Oh, without doubt.
Where he was
especially the car.
Yeah, it's is that Studebaker or Chrysler? Or it looks like a Studebaker, doesn't it?
No, it looks like a actually kind of looks like a Chevy to me.
I swear it's a Studebaker.
But you know, they used to put those things together here. So,
but you know, if you look at the proportions of the wheels and the corner of the car, you can see that it's not perfect. So he didn't trace it; he referenced it.
Yeah.
I was going to show off a drawing I had done. I do a lot of side commercial work, and sometimes it requires line drawings that my style tends to be pretty cartoony.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with any of it.
But I can sit there and do stuff like this.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
If I'm here, let me hit my board there. There we are. Nope. Oh, just blew it.
Ruined everything.
Boom. Yeah. Ruined everything. Let me enlarge that.
And you did this with rulers, or did you use like a in program ruler of some kind.
I drew all of that freehand.
Freehand. Wow, that's impressive.
Yes, sir. Drew all of that freehand, but
Okay, I can see the. Yeah, I can see it now.
yeah, but I've got photo reference for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can just look at it and then you're good to go. Get
Yeah.
the proportionality.
This is the convalescent center that I spent a few months at, by the way. Threw in line weight and then added some gray tones behind it in sections.
Yeah, absolutely.
In
It
order
works.
to make sure it was accurate. Yeah.
That's what you needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it gets finished, it's on the page and it looks great. And it doesn't really matter when you get there.
Usually pieces like that I don't sign because I consider that to be more commercial work than anything.
Mm-hmm. Money's money.
Yes, it is. Well, I was working on a book there for a short period of time about my COVID experience that I kind of abandoned. It was taking me down some pretty dark paths. So
Yeah, it's never or not always a good idea to be reminded of immortality.
well, it's I had never done an autobiographical book before, so there were quite a while I was thinking about changing it out for my monkey, but after a while, the wife just quietly told me to stop and do comics I like.
Do things you like.
Yep.
Love your life.
Time is short.
Time is short.
Time is too short. Look at that.
So we finally got to the next page there, and
Got to the next page. Yeah.
We'll see it. We'll see you next week, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for coming, everybody. No,
That's fantastic.
what a great shot there. Worm's eye view.
Again, very lackadaisical. The style. It's very sort of slapping it down.
Well, that's Toth in general.
Yeah, but I mean, there are
It's
we saw some Toth's work in that horror book we looked at.
Yeah.
And that was completely different.
Yeah.
It still had the same energy and flow, but it's far more realistic when it's like pseudo realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Just brilliant. Whereas this is very comedic.
Yeah, and we'll be taking a look at his Bravo for Adventure material and his Zorro stuff, I'm sure, in a future Comics by Night. And again, his love of sword fighting and his love of the character Zorro, he just knocks it right out of the park. And then Bravo for Adventure is a biplane pilot stuntman story that he owns, that he did a few stories of that are just amazing. So.
And again, we see the use of the silhouette there in the left panel or left
very
page.
Different from here. Yeah, right there.
And
So good at that.
Not before showing the crowd is there and it's mixed, and then the entire crowd from the silhouette. Nice plane.
That's fantastic. And you didn't need to draw anything else in the background there for the drag racers. It's just there. It's done. It's got the grayscale with the chemical stuff you talked about before, and then simple, easy, quick.
Then one day I was pushed too far. I blew up.
He's a master of filling that space.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky thing, is filling that space, having the confidence to fill it.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily with lots of detail.
Yeah. And at this point in his career, he had drawn probably just about everything, had done.
Yeah.
Worked for DC for years, worked for Hanna-Barbera for years, did all of that InDesign book that we looked at a few months back, and was just here having fun and earning a page rate, allowed to do whatever he wanted. That's why this book is so crazy good. It's the Dragula story. This is where Rob Zombie got the name of the song, Dragula.
Yeah.
Again, he's putting in that little bit more, not effort, but I don't know, there's just a little bit more to every panel in this.
There's a slightly different style to this too.
Yeah.
He's using different line weights, and he's a lot more, even more cartoonier than what he was before. A lot looser sitting here, just going crazy with it. Beautiful dragster there. A lot of smoke. See a lot of movement.
Look at the line work on the second page, third panel on the gentleman on the left.
Yeah.
With the helmet, and he's just holding it down.
Yeah.
Notice how very little of it there is.
That's true, though. He was a master of minimalism, though.
Which is important.
So just a few lines. Yep. Put what's needed on the page and then draw the hell out of it, he used to say. So you get these heavy blacks meted with the thinner line weights. Just expertly done. And again, he's not really doing full-on balloons here. He's doing lines, dialogue lines, pointing in, doing all freehand around. I wouldn't be surprised that the only thing he ruled were the outside panels. Everything else was drawn, sitting there by hand. That's what it looks like. Beautifully done, though. So there's I've got samples of his sketchbook where he's doing this kind of work off of a single point like rapidograph, and it's just mind-blowing. The stuff that he does is phenomenal. Drawing little ducks and all sorts of different people, and it's pretty crazy. Look at that. Look at that movement.
Damn. He just is just a master at work there. Like you got the top panel on the left, on the right there. It's like left page, top panel on the right.
Yeah.
You want the focus on the other gentleman. You just silhouette the one guy, and you know, as they say, Bob's your uncle. You're good to go.
You don't have to do that detail. It's not necessary. The detail is there.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's incidental. He's just standing there. And for all we know, he might have been covering a mistake here.
Yeah.
And turned it into a guy. Done that before.
Happy little trees. Happy little
trees. Exactly. Let me enlarge my camera here just a little so that you can see all of that. Sometimes that tripod slips. But again, what a great dragster right there. Smoke movement there. That panel especially is crazy because of the tilted figures.
Yeah, and we're just looking at
the sound effects, a few lines, some bent figures, and you've got movement. Just amazing.
We're looking at, I guess, the shadow of the two characters standing as they get tilted by the.
That's their silhouette.
Yeah. And they're in that position because the car went by.
Zoomed by, yes.
Yeah. And they're they're pulled.
Still zooming here, room. Yeah.
Yeah, the blend. It's the blend of cartoonish action.
Yeah.
And obviously the figures are not realistic, but they have, much like we were saying about when if you do like rubber hose drawings, you still have to get motion of figures where the joints are on limbs, all that kind of stuff about figure drawing that works so well in any comic, even though you've got this very sort of comedic style over the top. Right. All the values, all the basics, they're all underpinning this, which is why it works so well.
And here it would have been real easy to draw a couple of stiff figures, but these guys, you can feel their weight.
I would say this is the equivalent of looking at something like The Incredibles.
Yeah.
So you've got this full-on CGI, beautiful rendered everything, and then you've got these cartoonish figures, but they move in a very, very realistic way.
Right.
And this is the equivalent in old school comic book, sequential art.
Yeah.
Everybody went silent once again, looking at the art. Art comes out, and we're good.
Yeah, just like
boom there.
Again, look, I mean, that rain on the right-hand side. It's
So
not straight.
and one
It's
story
bent.
and start the next with such
Yeah.
detail. Look at that.
It's bent with the wind.
Yeah,
It's
it's different directions.
just brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a slow curve. So he's
Mhm.
got straight lines in each of the individual drops or streaks, but it goes round in a curve. It's just like, it's just so difficult to take in. And it's just beautiful.
And then whenever you can, throw in a little cheesecake.
Might as
yeah.
well, right?
Why not?
Always for
Why not?
drag cartoon book. Yep. Hot rods and beautiful dames. Yeah. He's holding a umbrella there. It's signed at Alexander Toth here, not just Toth or Alex Toth. It's Alexander Toth.
He was feeling fancy that day.
Must have been. He must have been. He was probably really proud of this pen.
What's that
Especially-
panel or on the right page, bottom left? What is that of?
Here?
Yeah.
Looks like stacks of something.
Yeah, I can't.
Stacks of papers in
We
a
survived. We survived publishing DragToons
yeah.
in
It's-
1963. Our distributor kept it a secret. Our warehouse
Yeah.
men thought it was a gag.
I was about to say that's stacks of paper or magazines in a warehouse.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's created very little there, but it works.
Just enough to drive the point home.
Yeah. So once he
The little beat out windows on the warehouse
Yeah, beautiful.
there. Yeah.
interesting.
More duo shade at work here,
And
Great
once
figure.
again, ladies,
ladies. Yep.
ladies all throughout this a couple pages.
Ladies.
All different looking too, not just hairstyle.
Yeah,
Different.
no, they're all
Faces
different.
are different.
I think they all
Another beautiful shot there.
yeah, I think they all buy the same brand of bra though.
Well, that could be, it could be his favorite. So, you never know. Back then, there might have only been one or two brands to buy.
They all lifted and separated, let's put it that way.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the era of the crush your heart. Yeah.
Cross your heart.
We've come too far, lads. Let's go back.
Great talk about material and process. Thank you, HR, very much.
Yeah.
Wood, yes, wood. Lots of wood. We'll get into a lot. Toth had that, yeah. We'll get into a lot more wood as we go. As we go, there's a lot of Wally wood to look at. So we'll definitely be watching or be looking at him. More great stuff. Just you can see the shifting. A lot of times, the intensity of the dual shade will cause different gray tones if you know how to apply it right or sparingly. You get more of a clouded look to it. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but there's definitely 3 different shades here. He's running that light chemical very, very lightly here, a lot heavier there, and then the darker chemical is down in here. Just beautifully done. Girls, what?
That chimney's brilliant on the house.
How to take up a page when you have a short story. That's right. Big title. Big title. You paid me for how many pages? Not a problem. There we go. Got it done. And again, this looks all freehand here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Intentional little bend to the smokestack here. Just greatly done. So many good touches. The over cartoony look on the eyes here.
You can't go wrong with that.
Nope. Sure can't. Oh, I got to fill this in and it's on dual shade board. Okay.
I mean, like, at
Soft
first,
strokes
you might, if you were the person publishing this and you're paying for page rates, you might be mad at first until you saw the work, and then you'd be like, oh, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, I think it was, hey, we've got Alex doing work for us for so much per page. We're just going to let him create.
Yeah.
You call him the day before the deadline and go, Alex, you owe us 5 pages. He says, oh, yeah, no problem. Santa's Wild Ride. Again, space seems so deceptive. So I guess we jumped from April Fool to Christmas here.
Unless that's the Fool.
That's the Fool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or this is the end of this story.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
All right. Yeah. End. Finito.
Yeah.
End. It.
Exactly. And then we start over at Christmas. There we are.
Tick, 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 boom. It's in the room.
Jesus.
It's a boom splat. Quick little silhouette. Santa and the reindeer there.
You can almost, he's either got it's cold, obviously, it's why his nose is red, or he's been nipping a bit of the eggnog there. But Santa's, that's great.
With Santa, you never know.
It's just so classic looking.
He ain't telling. Yeah.
Again, you've got this really sort of lackadaisical style, and then you look at that and you think that could be on a Christmas card. It's just.
Made it.
Right down the chimney once again.
Wham. Oh, it's got parachute. Look at that. Look at that picture. On the right hand page, the guy looking out the window and the lighting.
Yeah.
And then the way Santa's standing.
Looks like he's pissing.
Yeah, but it's just the fact his stomach is bulging out the front. He's got his hands on his hips. It's just the casual nature of the figure drawing.
Yeah.
The guy that's standing next to him that is drawn very, very, very loosely, and yet the way his posture is, and he's got his hands in his pockets, just.
And Santa's sitting here with his hand on his hip, wondering what he's going to do with that belly sticking out, so natural looking.
It's just, it's just. Oh.
Damn.
And then again, we got that hot rod that whose wheels don't touch the ground. It's moving so fast.
You don't see many people throw like in comic books. Everybody wants to draw the hands all the time because it's like a somewhat showing off of a talent. But you don't need to. You can just stick them in some pockets.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you look at the way someone like Buscema drew hands, they're accurate from a perspective of all the bits are in the right place. But like the way he drew fists, they're basically just blocks for the fingers.
Yeah.
And there's a slight curve in every finger, in every fist, and it just makes it believable.
Mm-hmm. And here too, putting his hand in his pocket shows that it's cold out. So
it's all
he's
part of the
actually trying to
story.
stay warm. Santa's not bothered by that. He lives up at the North Pole.
Yeah, well, Santa's a geezer.
Used to that. He opens the barn door here, and you see the hot rod in silhouette.
Santa's a Sigma male.
Just enough little white hints here in order for you to see detail.
I swear he's drunk. I'm pretty sure he's drunk in this one.
Drunk driving?
No,
Really?
yeah. Most assuredly. I recently actually did a sketch drawing not too long ago. I did some hands where basically just kind of blocks. I try to find that.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't do much 2D, so it's going to take a while.
I think what happens is much like we say about learning the basics, is someone like Buscema knew but he could probably sit down and draw a hand much like Michelangelo would have done. He'd be able to sit there and draw it with the sinews and everything that goes into it.
Right.
But for the comic book work, there's no requirement for that.
Yeah.
It's about impressionism. It's about creating a look and a feel. And so he simplifies the hands and they become dynamic and exaggerated. And that's the core of comic books. It's the core of comic book art.
Yep.
In hindsight, they should put these crappy sketch, or it's not even a crappy sketch. It's like, it should put these sketches into like a portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep everything if you can.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'll give that advice to people, but I didn't do it. It's like, oh, I don't like that drawing. That's going in the bin.
HR says, I wonder how much obscure stuff he did that's scattered out there in the comic sea that's still hidden. You never know, because especially with Toth, you could open up any of the anthology books, and DC did horror and science fiction anthologies, even romance books through the mid 70s, did horror anthologies probably up to the 90s. And you'll be leafing through that stuff. I've got House of Mystery Showcase Presents, and it's like every story is just one bit of amazement after the next. So you'll run from Joe Orlando to Wally Wood to Alex Toth to who knows, Alex Nino is in a lot of that stuff, just beautifully done. And they're sent these short stories to do and, told to turn it around in a week. So they sit there and play as long as the script is all there. And a lot of those short stories, they were left to their own devices. That's one of the reasons why you see so much Charlton material that Ditko did, was because he was left on his own. They just said thanks for the pages once he turned them in. They didn't care what was on them. He had enough to print another book, or he had a story complete, and that was it. They just went and did it. Went and printed it.
I found the image there. Got it on my screen now. My attempts at sketch drawing.
That's not a hand at all. That's a squirrel losing at poker.
Yeah. Again, he's had enough.
He's had enough.
Yep.
That's the gambler from Kenny Loggins. Kenny
Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. Yeah.
It's easy to get them confused.
The gambler was a squirrel. Well, they both had beards. Yeah.
Loggins, I think, is still on this earth too. So.
Yeah, I think he's around. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sketch there.
He doesn't look exactly the same. I saw a Professor of Rock interview with him.
Oh right, okay.
He's getting a little older, but as do we all.
He's still cool.
Didn't quite have the plastic surgery that Kenny Rogers did towards the end there. He had his face.
Did he have
pulled up?
Oh, he didn't. Did he?
Yeah, he did. It did not look good.
I think I find that really sad.
It is.
It's like you want to, the ancient Viking kings would never have had plastic surgery.
No, and a lot of the best, even the female actresses know to age gracefully.
Yeah.
If they get any work done, it's very slight.
Yeah.
It's a big sign of vanity that you go and you have that severe plastic surgery done where you look artificial.
Like
Madonna.
Madonna.
Right?
It just that's scary stuff.
Do you know if Helen Mirren has had any work done? It's been very slight. And
well, yeah, I mean,
you don't notice it at all. She's just beautiful.
She's still amazing, isn't she?
Yep.
Wasn't Vanna White still going too?
She's going, yeah. It's like Helen Mirren though. She's one of those women that's naturally beautiful.
Yeah.
She's probably never going to need plastic surgery, or if she does, it's going to be incredibly slight, just to get rid of something that she personally doesn't care for. It's not like she's going to have her face pulled tight like a piece of saran wrap, like in Brazil. That happens way too often.
Jesus.
Or in
Granny McGowan.
Really?
Good
Escape from LA.
Escape from LA.
Yeah, have you seen that?
Or the Cenobites from Hellraiser.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's Granny McGo. Old lady hot rodder. Look at that city.
Granny McGo.
Everything's in thin lines except for through the windows or the blackness of the asphalt. The street. a wonderful contrast.
It's got a different look as well. It's like those guys are just like the hair on them and it's so slick.
That whole crowd there is amazing.
Yeah.
Damn.
This guy's got his head tilted slightly. Oh, wonder what's he doing over there? Yeah. Jeez.
Is that a woman in that car? She's had plastic surgery. Quick, get her.
Those hot-looking hoodlums are picking on poor, helpless old ladies. Yeah. Sure, she's going to show them how helpless here before the...
hot looking.
That's
hot rodding.
Hot rodding. That looked like looking to me. I thought he was making a pass at him.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think that would have...
No, it's hot rodding. Hot rodding hoodlums. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But look at how he's doing
the time
tails.
It was drawn. Yeah.
Look at how he's doing the tails on the balloons here. He's just having fun. Crazy little lines here. This one wraps all the way around and goes back up. Look at that. That's crazy. They hit this one here. Wavy, wavy, wavy.
Yeah. A master breaking the rules there and getting away with it because he's just so damn good.
Who's going to complain about it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like,
he's just turning in this.
A couple of old idiots
pages at a time. Yeah.
In 50 years' time are doing a video about it on YouTube.
And then we get this great 3/4 page shot of them working in the garage from overhead. Look at that.
That's a money shot right there.
Light silhouetted. Yeah, Granny's telling them what to do. She's in the next story as well, beating somebody's butt.
And he's changed the style up again.
Yeah. Swatting his bum right there.
That's somewhat reminiscent of, I know he probably did it first, though I couldn't actually tell you, but like Ren and Stimpy, how you get like a closer shot and it's, different style and highly detailed.
Without doubt, Ren and Stimpy creators would have been looking at this.
Yeah.
I think.
That's maybe where they got it.
This has, you could probably paint a direct line to Ren and Stimpy creators from this kind of work.
Yep, absolutely.
Great. Look at the undercarriage in the top panel of the right page of the car. It's just, again, a silhouette, but it's all there. God damn.
Well, it probably isn't all there, but the point is there's enough of it there to be believable.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
SWAT.
So what?
After the cat runs out, that's why he got swatted. He tied cans around the cat's tail. That's not nice of him at all.
No, that's unpleasant.
That deserves a swatting.
That's funny though. It's funny because I have a cat. I don't do that to animals because it's wrong. But it's funny if you have a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you know what cats are like.
I'd be very surprised to find somebody that didn't know what cats were like.
Well, you'd be surprised. Dog lovers.
Yeah. And then here, look at this. This is so a lot more realistic than a lot of the other stuff that he's done. That might actually be somebody.
Yeah. That looks like a caricature, doesn't it?
Yeah. Goodies down. Right up. Hi, Granny. Okay. Goodies down. Goodies coming. Goodies coming right up. That's what it is. Man, my eyes are terrible this morning. I have my computer glasses on and not my reading glasses. That's my excuse. Never say whoa to Granny McGo. There she is right there. It's like Mr. Magoo.
I wish I was able to live in those times and
look at that car.
Race in those cars.
Yeah.
I love racing.
He's filing his nails. Scared.
I don't know if you gents.
That face.
I don't know if you gents are into racing, but I do a lot of sim racing whenever I can get a chance to find time to do it.
Did you what kind of racing?
Sim racing. So it's
With
like
guns.
simulated, right?
Simulated.
Simulated
Oh,
racing.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to
So
have
it-
slot cars when I was a kid.
I mean, because the graphics have advanced so far in the physics and stuff that it's basically as close as they can get at 1-to-1. And I do a lot of F1 racing.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
So like the cars going around the track are nearly 1-to-1. So you got to understand the same physics and you're using the same kind of stuff.
They have a movie coming out shortly about an actual event where they set up a video game.
Gran Turismo.
Yeah, and then took one of the kids and turned him into a driver because he
Yeah.
was that good.
Oh, that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It actually can happen though.
That apparently it's based on a true story. So
There's a couple of sim racers that actually beat the F1 guys, and they do like
What in the simulation?
in the simulation. They could probably do it in real life if they trained to do it. But
Yeah, because I would imagine it's some of those F1 drivers are incredibly fit.
it is the amount of
Because
speed.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing to physically do it than it is to do it in a computer simulation.
absolutely,
because of the physicality of the thing. But yeah, obviously, if you've got the lines and you drive well in a simulation, if you're trained to do it in real life, I'd imagine that would give you the advantage.
HR says he saw an FBI story he did in Adele. I think you're probably right. It was probably an adaptation of a movie of the FBI story. And there are compendiums of his listings of his work out there if you dig hard enough. But anymore, you really have to dig. And you have to be lucky to find those old compendiums that list all of these great people's work. Alex especially, he was like Ditko. He went, and Kirby too. He went wherever the money was. And so he's all over the place. I think Alex worked for everybody at one point or another. There's an early X-Men that he inked over Kirby. I think it was a disastrous looking book. It was around like number 10. Say they really clashed bad. He only did it once and didn't work for Marvel again for quite a while after that. But he's done work for everybody. If you paid and he could get a check from you for work, he would probably do it. Did a lot. That's why we looked at that InDesign book. He was working for many years for Hanna-Barbera and Ruby Spears, and on his off hours and his weekends, he was doing comic book work.
What a job that would have been, I have to say. That's the idea of doing something like that.
To be hired as a design guy, it's just to
be hired as someone
incredible.
who comes up with ideas and that's fun.
But on the other hand, the breakneck of it, especially around proposal season, would be just horrendous. The stress would be terrible. But that's when, like in 1 year, he creates Space Ghost, Mighty Mightor, Herculoids, and all of these crazy ideas. He's in the InDesign book. He notes that he went home for a weekend and came back with they wanted some diverse characters and Super Friends because they were all same color, mostly white, mostly male. They're all white, mostly male. So he had to come back with a diverse team, and he did it over the weekend. They couldn't use Black Vulcans or Black Lightning, so he turned it into Black Vulcan and Apache Chief and who was it? Super Samurai.
Super Samurai.
I think it was.
What a name.
That's a great name, isn't it? Super Samurai.
He's just pulling them up, out of nowhere. I think Rima, the Jungle Girl, was part of that too. There was a whole group of secondary characters that he created for Super Friends.
He created Toth
in a
created
weekend.
Herculoids.
Yes, he did.
So that's why the Blob has that really thick.
Igu the rock ape has all those thick black blocks on it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the Gloop and Gleep are just
the Gloop and Gleep. And
just drawn pillows with round eyes. Yeah.
That's
that
why.
stretch all over the place. Yeah. That cartoon has such a charm to it. And it's such a shame when I got the collection of it and could only watch maybe 3 or 4 episodes in a row because the writing in it is so atrocious. Zoo family on a planet of their own with all these great, unique characters and the entire each show has the same formula. Evil race or a group of aliens invade the planet, and the monsters have to fight them off. It's just, most of it's mindless violence, but they look really, really cool.
Speaking about
That's good for me.
Yeah.
Speaking about writing and cool, recently I just remembered I sent a message to on Twitter to Chuck Dixon, right? Because he was like, ask a question. I'm like, I have a question. Could you review my, and I was just joking around. Could you review my book as I'm working on it? And he's like, yeah, send an email. He gave me an email, and I just sent it off yesterday.
Just usual. They're just normal people, you know.
Chuck seems to be a really nice guy, actually.
Yeah, he does.
I was wondering, you know, the Chuck. I mean, I've tried to get in touch with a few people just to send them a book, and it's really difficult because they're busy people, and if you send them messages, often they get lost in thousands of other messages. They must be messaged by people all the time.
Probably.
So yeah, it's nice when they do come back to you.
Well, we'll see, because he replied and he's like, sure, here's an email, send it here, and eventually he'll get to it. If he doesn't get to it, whatever. It's nothing lost there, not really.
And yet, to go back to our subject here, Steve Rude, who created Nexus and did a lot of comic work, sent a Johnny Quest story that he did to Alex and asked him for a critique. And Alex sent it back all covered in red lines and little notes.
He asked for it.
A whole series of notes. Yeah. He literally got skewered. And then Rude said it was, and a lot of it was incredibly vicious. What the hell did you do this for? This doesn't make sense. You needed to have done this and that kind of stuff. And Rude said it was the best, most educational critique he ever had in his life.
Yeah.
Well,
it was incredibly demeaning, but
people get so.
But Toth was straight up and here you go. What the hell did you do that for?
Creators, unfortunately, are difficult at taking critiques. You know, you say you're anything but the politest person on the planet, and they'll start crying that you've been abusive to them.
Yeah. Well, he did post. You know, he posted the entire. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying let's just take this on board. Yeah, okay, maybe someone's been a little bit short with you. Yeah. But if they're taking the time to come back to you and give you some criticism, you know, take it on board. Find out what's working and what isn't.
He ended up posting the entire critique online for everybody to read, even though it was some of that he was just flat out yelling at him.
Actually,
don't ever do this. Why are you doing this? This is just a total waste of space.
But it helped him.
Yeah, it did.
I actually do that in a 3D community that I'm in with like thousands of other 3D artists, and it's there's a critique board, and I'm one of the most active people on the critique board. And I'm in there, and I will be brutally honest with somebody when it comes to 3D because it's my wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
And and like most people, like no matter how like much I'm like as honest as I am, right? They usually, because they're good, respectful people, they come back and they're like, thank you so much for pointing us out. Because in today's world, particularly with artists, and especially younger artists than the online communities, it's almost like you say, it's like almost like a crime to say anything negative or anything that's not completely affirming.
Why are you being so negative? Well, so what do you want me to say? That you're the best thing ever when you're not?
Yeah. Well, that's what they want to hear.
They want to learn, right? So
do you want to learn or don't you? Yeah. Well, if you want to learn, you're going to have to realize that you're not the best ever. It takes time to be, really good at whatever you do, however talented you may be. And yes, talent is a real thing.
Yeah. The absolutely, HR. A lot of the Toth stuff seems to be incredibly hard to get. I was checking on Amazon and eBay on some of these books, and they are just incredibly priced, unbelievably high. But good art is worth it. And these guys the IDW is probably your best bet. There's a series of 3 hardback books that they did on Toth's work that pretty much encapsulates a lot of the stuff. I don't think I don't think they printed a compendium of his work there, but they might have listed it. They should have listed it, because there's one on his commercial work, I believe, one on his comic work, and one on his animation work. And they're all very large size, very beautifully done books. So they aren't cheap, but they're well worth the cost of admission. He hangs someone out the window. A story goes, that maybe there's so many urban legends about these guys. We know Steranko has a story where he hung somebody out the window by his foot until he got a proper page rate. But I don't know if Toth did it. I know Toth was very volatile, though, and he wasn't afraid to share his opinion, especially when it came to the he thought everybody that was animating at Hanna-Barbera were complete idiots. And monkeys, he would call them monkeys all the time. The little monkeys in the back room can't figure out how somebody needs to sword fight, and, and they did that. Right. We saw that if you go back to the InDesign episodes we did, he's got pages that he turned in on how to properly hold a sword and how to properly sword fight that they just completely ignored and went off and did whatever they wanted. HR says Alex was the best. The best get lost of crap, lost in the crap. Maybe I think they played him for a long time. Look at Kirby. Yeah. Well, everybody in this industry has been played, especially in the older days. They had pretty much slave labor hourly rates. If you knocked it down by pay by the hour, they paid by the page. A lot of these guys did it because they cared to do it and they wanted to do it. It's what they loved to do in order to pay their bills, and that's what they did. So, and a lot of these guys, like the guy who did Sad Sack, for example, he worked for multiple decades at $35 a finished page. He just did a lot of pages. Dan DiCarlo, who worked for Archie, it's the same way. Archie paid him he's really known for his work at Archie, but they treated him really bad, and they gave him a bare bones page rate to perform. But he performed. He was able to kick out 4 or 5 pages a day, and it paid his bills.
Well, like $35 a page in 1970 is a lot different to $35 a page now.
Well, we're talking from probably mid 40s during the war. Sad Sack popped up all the way through the probably the late 70s, early 80s. He got paid the same page rate.
Yeah. But still, 35 back then.
Yeah,
would have been a lot more money than now.
It would have been okay, yeah. But they were selling millions of comics.
I'm not saying he wasn't done over, because all artists are. Because if you're in it because you love it,
you're going to be taken advantage of.
Then you're going to be taken advantage of. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
I have no idea what it is. I'm going to find out, though, what the value is. I'm asking.
Ask Google. Google will know. That's if they're not already listening to us through our phone.
Then we have this. Yeah.
They're listening all the time.
Get that. There's a lot going on there. A lot going on here. Look at that.
Good God. So what I noticed from the previous 2 pages, but it's shown up here again, is just his ability with depth.
Yeah. To take that trophy and do a bird's eye view.
He's all round. He's just got everything, hasn't he?
Yeah. Granny McGo's revenge. Yeah.
Is she still alive?
Stop hogging the streets.
Jesus Christ.
What?
$10 This is the first calculation that came up. In 1945 is roughly $166.74 $166 for $10 in 1945.
Right. So if you're getting paid $35, that's the equivalent of $500 now for a page.
Yeah.
That's like,
But he kept the same page rate all the way through his Sad Sack career, and I think he drew most all of the Sad Sacks.
Yeah, well, my wage hasn't gone up in 10 years.
Yeah.
Russ, how long does it take you to knock out a page?
Oh,
average.
on average, so somewhere between, obviously a detailed page, as in a style. If I'm putting more line work in because my style is detailed, or if I'm putting less line work in, so for Only Death Can Save Us, I could do 2 pages a day.
2 pages a day.
Yeah, but what I'm doing at the moment, I'd say half that, a page a day, including pencils and inks overall.
Yeah, so $500, $1,000 a day isn't bad.
Well, I wouldn't even do 2 pages a day if I was getting $500. I'd just be quite happy with the 1 page a day, and I'd take Fridays off.
There you go. Yep.
But it's different now. It's like you can't get that work anymore. That work doesn't exist.
Well, think about the value of
thinner
10,
and thinner. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I was like, holy, $10 is now the equivalent of $166.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's insane.
That's inflation.
That's inflation. That's the
and then it's
the hidden
insane.
tax.
Yep.
It's what they do. They make your money worth less.
Here they call it Bidenomics. Yeah,
Bidenomics.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Just
wow.
It's everywhere.
Egypts.
Everywhere.
Egypts. Well, they're not Egypts, are they? Because they're rich and we're not.
How do you do a crowd scene like this? How do you figure that out? That's just insane. That is amazing.
Yeah, and after the mid-ground, look how loose
smear,
everybody
smear,
is.
Smear, black,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Sat there with a brush.
Done.
Yep.
I mean, you see how quickly
work.
Bob Ross does this stuff, too. It's just...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, again, it's about distance.
And experience, too. You do that much, and you realize what a putty knife can do on a canvas. So you just grab it and do it. That's whatever tool works to get the job done. Now, I was reading the cartooning book that I have by Jack Ham. He's talking about just grabbing anything, including like a Q-tip, and just for texture and just laying it, spotting it down, and all sorts of crazy ink methods and techniques. It's just crazy. And I think back here, he was going a little crazy with the duo shade in places. He was getting a little heavy with it. It's a little grayed out for that story. He might have had a little extra time. It's so easy to go overboard when you're using that board. And then here he's back to just sparingly using it. Here, all of the chemical isn't down here. There's all sorts of different shades, but it works well because it's in the water here. Just beautiful look to it. He knows what to do with the tools he's got. And again, look at all of the perspective shots. The worm's eye view, the bird's eye view here, straight on there. Just a couple of silhouette blobs here in front of a newspaper. A bird's eye view here. You're looking down at the biplane, or the old plane. It's just amazing. Great stuff. Straight on, then high up again.
The tree alone. Look at that. Right? It's not solid. There's those little flecks of the...
Yeah.
God damn.
It's a guy in a phone booth. Yeah.
Just didn't take... Go ahead.
Got to make that interesting. So you do it from a worm's eye view.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that, but he did.
Just getting taken to school.
And that's a perfect example of if he was tracing something, so he went and got himself a picture of a phone box from Google and traced it so that he could make it look accurate.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have any of that energy, would it?
No.
It might look more accurate, but it won't have the energy. And I saw somebody post something the other day. It's like, why don't comic books look as good as they used to? And they posted up a piece of Wolverine. And I think it was an early Jim Lee X-Men Wolverine against a modern one. Mm-hmm. If you actually looked closer, you could say that the one on the left was a better illustration. Okay? It was more anatomically correct. It looked realistic to a degree, okay, as far as you can with pen and ink. But then it had no life.
Yeah.
It had no energy. And that's why the one on the right looks better. That's why those comics are better. Simply because so much of the art nowadays, as great as some of it is, and it really is fantastic, some of it, especially some of the DC stuff, it's lost its energy. It's lost its mojo. As it, it's just not there anymore. It's not as exciting.
Nope.
Almost sad.
I'll look at this. Just a few lines and a bit
Yeah,
of
that's why we're here.
of duo shade here. That's what this is. Just some outline and a bunch of blocks of duo shade here painted in for the foam off of the boat. Painted in for the background here off of just a little outline. Just crazy done.
Just chuck that in. And
Yeah. And then this tight shot, here's his knee looking up at him driving the boat. Just phenomenal.
Again, that's what I'm talking about. Those panels that I used to be afraid of. Again, not in any way, shape, or form comparing myself to Toth. But just those panels, those awkward panels that you have in your mind, you think, wouldn't that be a great look? And when you're not as experienced, you kind of bottle out of it. You're afraid of doing them, so you might change the angle, and that angle might well be, less energetic, less fun, less interesting.
Yeah,
and it's just having the wherewithal, having the experience and the knowledge to just know I'm going to draw it from that angle, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah,
this guy's a master at it.
and you look at that. This page is a lesson in itself, but the straight on shot, the super tight shot, the way back shot, almost like an establishing shot.
It's almost
two shots here at the bottom in order to get the point across the strip, or the story.
What was that book you recommended again? I think you recommended a couple of those. Like it was Eisner and there was another one.
Eisner's Comics and Sequential Art. Eisner has like a half a dozen graphic storytelling books, but his Comics and Sequential Art, and I think it's the Art of Graphic Storytelling is excellent.
Yeah, I've got it here. Will Eisner, Graphic Storytelling and Visual Narrative.
Yeah.
And Comics and Sequential Art.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic books. And then of course you've got just purely from the artwork, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. It's a fantastic book. And then anything by Hogarth if you want to get involved in detail.
Yeah, and the anatomy drawing.
Yeah,
and
lighting.
Drawing. Yeah, his light and shadow book is indispensable. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, dynamic anatomy, dynamic wrinkles and drapery. That's a really good one. Yeah,
dynamic light and shadows.
Yeah, drawing dynamic heads.
He's got an entire
light and shade. I've got them all sitting here beside me.
He's got an entire book on hands.
Yes,
dynamic
he does.
Hands.
Yeah.
It's just they're all textbooks. Seriously, and just well done.
Oh, I've got that one as well. Drawing dynamic hands.
Yeah, you've got the whole set then.
I've got the whole set. Yeah.
Because the drapery one is a little rough to find. I'm not sure if that's even in print anymore. But the light and shadow one is totally a learning experience.
Yeah.
I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, you have to pick it out and look at it every now and then.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Eisner books too, though. It's like us going over Watchmen. There's so much in it. You're going to catch more every time that you read it.
It's not like something you should be sitting on your desk while you're drawing, because it will restrict you. But it is something that you should pick out every now and then and just flick through and go, oh yeah, and it's like it's a reminder. It's like, right, that's the way it should be done.
The Life and Art of Alex Toth documentary is great. Yeah. Where's Kirby's? I'm not sure. There are a couple of really good books out on Kirby. I think what's his face kicked one out that I found pretty inexpensively. He was an assistant of his. Evan. I don't remember the guy's last name, but he did a nice biography of Kirby. There are compendiums of listings of Kirby's work out there too. I know that for a fact. I've seen them.
I've watched some stuff on YouTube as well. Some great documentaries about Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime seems to be a good source for a lot of that stuff.
Mm.
And YouTube, just run
YouTube.
up Jack Kirby on YouTube. You're bound to find a bunch of stuff.
Find something. Yeah.
Actually, getting him in front of a camera was a major feat. That's why Glenn has the CD that he's got, because you don't see a lot of Jack out there. He did a lot of interviews, but he didn't do a lot on video.
Circling back to cloth there, because I kind of missed the jump in. I was just recently talking to a fellow sculptor that was doing miniatures about cloth. He was having difficulty with it. So what I did was I recommended to him take a piece of toilet paper, and then just, if you want to get the folds of the cloth correctly, is just take wrap it around your finger and then just bend your finger, right? And then take a look at your pant leg, bend your pant leg, and then just try to feel the depth of the line to get it correct. And that helped him out quite a bit, and he you could see the marked improvement when he started to do the technique.
The big thing for that, the two big things I would say for that, is to go someplace where you can people watch in a park or a mall or whatever, and just draw as fast as you can there. That's how I learned my female anatomy, by taking sketchbooks into strip clubs,
by getting almost arrested.
Yeah, almost exactly. But no, once they figured out that you were just sitting there drawing, that's different. But most of the places around here were pretty lenient. But the second thing is nothing. If you can't get out, get a full length mirror. Go up there and wear that clothes, and stand on a milk crate or whatever you have to do in order to get the right positioning to see how the folds sit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great reference there.
Well, the benefit about the toilet paper roll is that it's like you can hold it in your hand while you're looking. You can squinch it around, and you get different angles. And
here's one of the advantages of using that duo shade board. If you're looking here, you see all of these. This is all brush strokes right there for that sheen. You just went through with a brush and flicked it.
Damn.
That's one of the advantages of using that chemical toner, is you can get those painted on looks like that. Turning the page now. It's a great shot. Look at that. From the waist down. Yep. Somebody walking off. Oh, that might be a little too harsh for the book. I'll just color it in the dark shade. There we go. Half silhouette. Still got great detail line work in it. Look at that scene right there. That's crazy.
He did love his cars.
He did. That's why he did this. And obviously that ambulance isn't moving because all of the wheels are on the ground.
Obviously. And that one is moving. It's way up in the air.
It's moving fast.
Chugga. People beat up, all bandaged.
Look at that panel on the right page, third panel.
That face.
You'd have to have been in a bandstand or something to seen that. He spent time at the tracks. You can tell, obviously, but like he spent time at the tracks. He was there.
Well, that's great. That's it's imagination just fired up too, because you can tell that's not referenced. He just sat there and drew that.
He just from his
leaning over and putting that fist way out in front, almost a 3D look to it. A little bit of shadow underneath, just beautifully done.
Just right from memory, right from a moment in his life. He's like, oh yeah, right there.
Even then, it's all overextended. This is all the cartoon look to it is just amazing here.
Yep.
This over exaggeration is the key to great cartooning, though. Yeah. Craziest quilt.
Something I struggle with is cartoon. I always wanted to be a cartoonist, but I struggle with it so very much.
You're probably overthinking things.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know.
It's another great shot up through the almost a crotch shot right up the steering column here. just greatly done. What and you're pulled from the megaphones here to this because of the shape. It's just crazy, and then pushed that way because of the composition right towards it. That's really the focus, and then zooming out, actually zooming that way over to the other panel. That's where we're going. This is a wonderfully composed page. Probably totally instinctual. And then we get this. This is like a collage, a mess, just to show the crash. What a cluster there. And they're all looking. Is this Granny again? Looks like her driving in.
I'm sad to say that I haven't even. I've been somewhat ignoring the text and just kind of looking at the artwork for most of the book.
Yeah,
because it's that compelling. I'm like, who cares what it says?
There are stories here. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who knew?
So much of it is so well done that you can follow it without reading anyway.
Yeah. Because of the wreck, I guess they asked Granny, what are they going to make? She says, oh, we're going to make a quilt. Just we are. Craziest quilt. And again, thin lines, heavier lines here to draw your focus in to the different patterns. Just masterfully done. So they make a crazy quilt, all right, for a parachute.
Wow.
And here we go, slot car racing. Granny McGo closes.
How big was that back in the day, Randy? You said you
Pretty
used
big.
to do that yourself?
No, there were shops. I ran it once or twice, but there used to be whole shops with incredibly large tracks. You can bring your own slot car in and race around the track for a while. They sold all the slot car accessories. You had a little track at home, maybe a figure eight or whatever, and then they had whole storefronts that had incredibly huge race layouts. If you look at, we could probably pull up a picture of the old Batman show because they ran slot cars a couple times on there because that was
Scalextrics is what they used to call it over here.
Really,
that was the brand name, Scalextrics. It was slot car.
Slot car racing here, yeah.
But it was made by Scalextrics.
Okay.
So everybody, it's like Hoovers. Everybody calls a vacuum cleaner a Hoover. It's like everything was Scalextrics. So yeah, and we used to. I remember my dad bringing because he used to be a programmer, and he worked in an office where they had some downtime on occasion, and they had a massive Scalextric set. I mean, 2 massive boxes of this stuff. It was multiple sets put together, and they used to have 4 tracks. So we used to be able to lay it down in the lounge, and I remember getting it given to me when I had kids. So they literally had it in the loft in the attic, and they gave it to me, and I fixed up the connections and what have you. And I had in my last house, I had a 23-foot room, and we laid the track down in the whole of the room. We put all the furniture to the side and laid the track down in there. So it was a 4-track up and down this 20-foot track with my kids. It only got brought out once a year, but it's so much fun. Slot racing is just incredible fun.
Yeah, that would make a great story, like a little short story or whatever, something like that. It's fantastic. It's all there.
This is what I remember from my Adam West Batman.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's pretty bloody serious. That is
because Bruce Wayne was rich, so he could afford all the good toys.
Yeah.
Damn. No,
that's so much bigger. Wow, they're big slots.
Yeah,
they're big slots. Our slots were smaller than that.
Probably
they used to have storefronts where they had tracks like that set up that you could go in and race with your car for a while and buy cars there and all the accessories. They
haven't got any crossovers though. We used to have crossovers where you switch tracks, and then we also had a bank. So it's like you could race around this a bit like that corner there, but it was actually banked up. It was curved up.
Yeah.
So you can race around it without your car flying off the end.
Like a real racetrack.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
That's got 3 levels though. Look at that, 3 levels.
That was used on the show a couple times.
Where's
my
that?
thing growing up was wargaming. So like,
Yeah.
looking at, so like I've played on tables like this for war games, but nothing for slot cars.
War games came later off of D&D. This is before that. They had whole scale model trains, and ever since there's been mechanical train engines, there's been train toys.
History would
trains.
argue a completely different story.
Well, you're right. When it comes to strategy and war, I mean, actually staging war.
Kriegspiel.
Yeah, there were big war tables. Absolutely.
Yeah, Kriegspiel, or the first war games, were invented by the Prussians in the tail end of the 18th, early 19th century.
It's always the bloody Prussians, isn't it?
As far as catching on for like entertainment value, and that you didn't.
No, it was actually popular then because it was the Game of Kings, in a sense, where people would come from all over and play it and strategize, and they had referees. It's a huge thing.
That was
even H.G. Wells' Little Wars. H.G. Wells, there's pictures of him, like drawings, him playing Little Wars in what it's called, which is in a compendium to Kriegspiel. I'll find the thing for you. It's actually interesting art.
I totally believe you. Yeah.
I don't.
I stand corrected. Whoop. Back to the book.
Russ is like, I don't believe you.
I believe
I don't believe him.
You don't believe that H.G. Wells played Little Wars?
I just don't believe you.
Oh, okay.
H.G. Wells is way ahead of his time. So yeah, I wasn't aware of his game playing other than the fact that how he used to get paid by the penny, or paid by the word, pennies by the word. So when I was doing my research for War of the Worlds, there's multiple descriptions in different places. He describes the Martians twice and the cylinders twice, and he did it because he had a girl across town that he had to afford an apartment for.
Ooh. You've got to have a reason.
War of the Worlds was serialized, so the Martians described in the front of the book are different from the Martians described in the back of the book.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What are the 2 descriptions? I don't remember that.
One of them looks like a squid with thick,
real
thick tentacles and a V for a mouth that's dripping. The one that first pops out of the cylinder is like
massive, slavering lips.
Looks like a bear. It looks like a bear and octopus mixture with a V for a mouth, drooling with small eyes. And then in the back of the book, he describes the Martians as kind of a lump with thinner tentacles squiggling out from underneath it. So,
well, there you go.
I always saw that as alpha and beta Martians.
Right.
So I always planned on using that somewhere up the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really fascinating when you get into it, because him and Verne both got paid by the word, and sometimes they got overly descriptive depending upon how their bills were at the time.
There we go. Found some of the articles about it, and there's a book too. So here's let me get the page up here. Huzzah! Camera's live.
Huzzah!
There we are. Oh yeah, cool.
Isn't that different?
Yeah.
Check them out.
That's definitely Wells there on the left. Yeah.
Check them out. They're all having fun.
Isn't it? And there's
all right. Oh, yeah, there you go. Floor games and Little War. All right.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Sorry about that. Yeah, my mistake.
No, I mean, I studied the history of this stuff, so I mean, it's fair game.
That is fascinating. Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Well, I knew they'd play out the scene when they were, actually having wars about troop movements and that.
Oh yeah, that's where it started.
The Civil War, especially. Yeah, I'm sure it did. Napoleon probably, or Genghis Khan, had that kind of setup.
Well, chess has always been that, but the evolution.
That's true too. Yeah.
Evolution of Kriegspiel was the advancement of that particular. You can see when you look at the history of Kriegspiel, which is fascinating. There's a video called. I know this is completely off topic, but it's comics, but a video called "How War Became a Game," and and it's just fun to watch. It's like a good half hour to an hour of decent content.
Cool.
You know, I'll actually put it in the chat for you there, Randy. You learn something about history, and it's fun. It's a fun afternoon.
It's a combination of photograph and negative space sitting here. Look at that, with line work back behind it. Just a montage of different techniques sitting on this panel.
It's bonkers.
So he must have had a great photograph of the car here that he wanted to use. He just cut it out and pasted it in.
Yeah, I'll just chuck that on instead.
Yet this guy's pants, there's no delineation in it. There's no line work in it. It's just negative space in order to draw your eye right to it, right there at the blackness of the highway, sitting there. Just great. And then that's a photograph here too.
Damn.
Right? Yeah.
Careful.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just pulling up my magnifying glass so that I can look at it. Yeah, it's what it is. It's a black and white stat. And he went through and whited out the pants there in order for it to pop.
The car looks familiar. I wonder if he did that intentionally based on.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yep. Or else he'd have drawn it in.
Yeah, I think that's I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but there was this famous car enthusiast that used to do racing, and I don't remember which one it was.
Big Daddy Roth or
something like that. I think that's probably, is that what it says?
Old lady from Dodge.
Yeah, I think it's the same guy, but he was famous for pushing the rules of breaking the rules of things and cheating and stuff. They said you can't have a gas tank, in the rules like certain size, right? So you have to refuel, it can't be too large. And then what he did was he didn't say anything about how big the fuel line could be. So he basically put this giant hose in the car, right? And got away skirting the rules there. And there's this funny story where he got kicked out of a race, and they're because of the fuel thing, and he threw the gas tank out and then drove home on the fuel line. Because he got mad and he's like, screw it, and just threw the gas tank and he just drove the car home. So that might be the same. That might be the same thing.
Yeah,
looks familiar. I don't know.
That's probably a very famous photograph here.
Mm-hmm.
That he cut out and put in racing wise. That is. Looks like this person is a photostat as well. But he might have done that by ink. I was looking at that up closer. Sure does look like a stat of the older lady here. Next to the other cartoony characters here.
A lot of that stuff back in the day, what they used to call the garagiste attitude, was these guys were just making up absolutely anything that you could possibly imagine to win a race, right? Like skirting the rules, changing, just the craziest engineering stuff, back in the day. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that's the same car. I'm sure that's the guy too, because that's why it's all photograph nudes.
Community's great. The same today, same knee and that tunic dude have Toth's feel. There's more past Pat Boyette, yeah, Bob Oxner, yeah, Frank Thorne, absolutely. Yep. Probably the same influences on a lot of those. Boyette and Thorne had been around for a long time. So. Ennsville. Another photo here. Wonder if that made it easier for him or if it was rougher to do.
It's the greatest cheats in NASCAR history. How can you look now? First race. Smokey.
Bring it back here, you brazen hussy. She must be talking to her. He's all nervous and stuff looking at her. Heading into chapter 4, the Telltale Car, Dr. Kildare. Off of Dr. Kildare.
This looks like something out of Mad magazine.
It does. It's got that Mort Drucker almost feel to it. Right there. He's drawing caricatures here on purpose because of the Dr. Kildare TV show.
Yeah.
Only now it's an auto clinic. Oh, look at that. Just crazy. That's awesome too.
Damn. Well, I couldn't find the story specifically, but yeah, racing is littered with cheats and sneaky, getting around the rules.
Yeah. Dr. Bum Racy.
What's that tap in the background?
That's the dripping here.
Oh, okay.
So I'm catching it in a bucket.
Is it raining there?
No, I think I've got a leaky refrigerator. I have to look at it. We just had the kitchen floor refurbished, and now I'm getting little leaks.
Oh,
right from around where the refrigerator is. So we have an old refrigerator. It's a little shorter than modern refrigerators because we had to get a refrigerator to fit the hole around the cabinets that were hand built
right
around it. In fact, we had to take out about a half an inch to get this refrigerator in, and sometimes the freezer congests and leaks a little. I think it's coming through the floor now, so I'm gonna have to pull the refrigerator out and take a look at it. It's so old, we're at a point where we're hoping it doesn't break down, because then we'd have to replace it. And that's going to be a major search to find a fridge that's just the right size.
Might end up with one of those mini fridges.
Maybe.
Little bar.
The Telltale Car. Look at that. More Drucker influence there. That's really obvious here. He's looking at a lot of Mort Drucker's work and pulling off of it. This is about the right time as Mad is going real big. Then he switches back to his cartoony style here. But that page is definitely Drucker. Look at that. Look at the likenesses there drawn. Really great.
Funny meme I just came across. Never ask a woman her age, a man his salary, a collector how much he paid for an item in front of his wife.
No. It's gone quiet again. Dead air.
Yeah, I was doing two things at once. I was looking at the art and then got distracted.
Randy's stopped his mic. Maybe he's run away.
I ran away.
Oh, he is.
I had to stop that dripping. It was starting to get to me. So
he's like, "Oh God, why?"
Yeah. Anyway, onward we go.
Yeah, we're gonna finish the book. Look at those shoes. That's something you don't see every day.
Marshall Dillon here. Yeah. Which shoes?
Top left.
Oh, here. Yeah. Yeah, sweet. Thought maybe they had little holes in them.
Maybe.
Like Jack Davis straws or Don Martin. It's crazy good. Look at that silhouette there. That's all you needed. That's all you got. Hand here is a little weird, but you can tell what it is.
Mm.
Great crashes again.
I love hot rods. They're my favorite type of car. To be honest, I haven't had the opportunity to purchase a car in my lifetime, unfortunately. But I thought about building one at some point. I build myself a hot rod.
Wow, that'd be impressive.
Not
My brother has a bad habit of doing that. He'll pick up a car and refurbish it and sell it. His last, he did a World War II era Jeep.
Oh.
Last one he refinished. He's a crazy mechanical madman. So I did a show here in Flint for the Flint Comics paper, and he come to the second show and was looking around. We had the 501st there, which is a Star Wars reenactment group. Called me up the next day and said, I'm gonna make an R2D2, and I said, good for you, do that, yeah. And then I started getting calls, and I'm like, yeah, do it, It started getting calls almost every other day. Hey, I found this thing online. These there are actually R2 builder groups out there, and one guy makes the helmet. Nobody can make any money off of this stuff, or Lucasfilm will come back on them. So they can't make any money. But he ended up making like a half a dozen, well, probably closer to eight or nine different droids that all moved. Wow. Did his own version of Chopper from Rebels and made a couple of them up on his own, and did an R2 unit with an Art Deco feel to it, a lot of chrome and cool. Light teal, and called it R2 Deco.
Excuse me.
R2 Deco.
Yeah. Very good. Well, he did that so that he could put a voice modulator in it. So he was able to wheel it around at shows and hospitals and conventions and that, and talk to people. Excellent. He'd have he'd be back a couple of 20, 30 feet with a little remote control, and he'd steer the thing through the crowd, and he'd stop every once in a while, and the head would turn. He'd talk to the kid, and he could hear with a little mic what the kid was saying. So they had a little conversation. The kid was freaking, He had some great stories, but yeah, he was incredibly mechanically minded, a lot more than I am.
Yeah, I mean, doing that kind of stuff, again, you need to be that way inclined, talented. I think also, like nowadays, for instance, cars are they're a nightmare to do anything with, because they don't, they build them so that you can't do anything yourself with them.
Yeah, they're so computerized. It's incredible. Yeah.
I mean, when I was sort of 17, my first car, I took the clutch out because it needed a new clutch, took the engine apart, put the clutch in. And it was all straightforward. You could take the parts out, line them up, put the new part in, line them all up again, and put them back together.
Absolutely.
Now you can't do that stuff.
Yep. Here we have Tarzan.
Just brilliant. Just brilliant. He's making his own car.
Making his own car. Stone wheels. Pulling out a tree for a base.
My father was a mechanic for a while.
Aha.
So I learned a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot of this stuff when I was younger, like about cars. But later in life, it's a long-term goal to be able to build my own car one time, eventually.
My dad would always spend too much time out in the garage, so I spent a lot of time in my room drawing. Ludwig Holheim minimalist style is a big influence on him. Yeah, I'm sure.
Very similar. Like my
Hogarth's Tarzan's very good. Yes, it is. We'll be looking at that in a future Comics by Night. I promise you, HR. I've got a couple of books, and one of them is incredibly rare. And Milton Caniff, absolutely. Same thing with Frank Robbins. Big Daddy Roth car design is so good. Yep.
There's a dialogue, and this is great.
It's all Nagawas.
Yeah.
Nagawa.
Oh.
Nagawa. Nagawa. Nagawa and grunts.
This little car grab some air tigers. Where you go?
Nagawa, ho, 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 put a tiger in your tank. Yeah, literally. It's an old gas expression. Just go out and beat out a tiger, drag him in, put him in the car. Yeah. Now go. Then we have Tarzan of the Ape Hangers. Look at that. Again, the duo shade at work here. Harsher
Yeah,
chemical
it's
there.
just
No lines.
beautiful.
No lines, just painted in the background. Just great foliage here. It's phenomenal. Wonderful silhouettes here. They tied up Tarzan, the natives, pygmy natives, dragging them out. You don't even have to show much, just silhouettes with eyes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably
It's
get a,
actually detailed there. You might not be able to see it because of the darker tone. I don't think that's dual shade here. I think he put a zip screen down on these guys. Made them really dark, almost too dark.
you couldn't get away with something like this today, unfortunately.
Well, not without triggering somebody, you know.
I mean,
you
you
look
could
at it in the
legally
context that
do it.
it's in.
Yeah, you could probably legally do it in the U.S., but you know, yeah, people would be pissed off.
Yeah. They are a bit, yeah, they are almost over the top stereotype. I don't think he's intentionally doing it, or they'd have large lips like the old minstrel characters and the old black stereotypes of the day.
Is
The overblown.
he doing a
cultural
script here, you think, or is he just doing it himself?
He's probably doing it all himself.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I was really interested in the crime book and the Tarzan book and the history one, but I think this was the best choice.
We'll get to those eventually. We have time. So part of the fun of the show is showing off stuff like this, and it's always the most unexpected stuff that you pull the most out of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things whenever DC would do a showcase presents, there were some titles that I didn't care for at all, but I picked it up anyway, and they were always pleasantly surprising because there's a reason why they did each showcase presents and put it out there. A lot more than just money. They were using them as reference for Hollywood. So they were doing different properties and taking them to whatever producers and going, you should think about doing this. So you got an entire book of like the war that time forgot that has all these World War II guys fighting on a dinosaur island. Just crazy cool stuff.
They got they just opened a library just around where I live, because I live on the outskirts of the city, and they in the section there they have a graphic novel section.
Mm-hmm.
It's very limited, but one of the things is like a DC anthology of stuff. It's pretty big, thick. I'm gonna probably take it out sometime this week when I get a chance.
Yeah, it all depends on what they're reprinting. Some of that stuff's really, really good, and some of it's kind of yeah.
Even if it's mad, it's like, you know, there's layout stuff I can pull from and look at. And
well, they did like House of Secrets, House of Mystery, a couple of volumes, and like I mentioned earlier, in those showcase formats, and it's got everybody in it. Everybody's got everybody that was anybody back then. If they had a couple days free, they got, you know, they called up the DC office and say, hey, I've got a week open. They'd send them a script for a short story that they'd stick in inventory and then just fill it out as they go along. Again, we're back to the old style format with just regular tails for the balloon, but look at that overhead shot there. That's fantastic. A little more dual shade. This one's got lines.
Love that bottom right side on panel, but just like the story going on in it, just a whole panel with a story in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if you look close enough, the duo shade board that he's using is lines. You see that there?
a little too close, Randy. There we go. Focus.
There we are.
Good.
It's all cross hatching. If you notice, right in there on that door, the two different patterns. Getting into the hot rod and taking off. Got to run. Blam, blam, bam, bam.
Just everything about this page is on the left there is fantastic.
tight shot of him grabbing the stick shift. Car in the air. Yeah, just phenomenal.
Well,
the typical crime does not pay panel. Yeah.
There you go.
Hanging off the bars of the cell.
Certainly does not pay.
Nope. Onward to Doom Buggy. We're probably not going to get all the way through this again. It's a quarter two.
I'm going to have to shoot soon.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll finish after this story. This Doom Buggy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, to be fair,
I think zip work here. No, dual shade right there. Yeah.
we don't necessarily have to finish this kind of book. It's short stories.
Look at that stuck in the dune. This is just too much.
That's great.
So he goes underwater instead. Splash. The end. We can finish it there. It's about a quarter two. We've been on for an hour and 45.
Yeah, we've done our time.
Yeah. Do we want to finish the book out next week or just we probably
Well, it's 50 pages.
Another
Probably
50
take
pages.
us. Yeah, probably take us that long.
That'll make Glenn happy. He wanted to be here really badly, but unfortunately couldn't make it. So we got a good distance on this book today. So we'll call it there.
Yeah. That's not bad. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
Sad not to see Glenn around, but oh well, things happen.
And a glove. Loop and a glove.
Glove.
Folks, we've been looking through the book Toth, One for the Road. It's a collection of his cartoon and DragToon comic strips that he did for the magazine. Fantastic book. If you get a chance to find it, get it. Hope you don't have to pay a whole lot for it. I understand it's incredibly rare. So, Toth, One for the Road, folks. And we'll cover the rest of that next week. Absolutely.
One for the road.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun.
Twas indeed.
We'll mark it there. Good to go. All right. Whiskey, tell folks how they can find you.
You can find me over there on the X, I guess it's called now, and under Bandit Ricochet. Right there in the bottom left there, you can find my name. If you type that into Google or if you type it into X, the search bar there, you find me. I do 3D models and action figures. If you need some of your, if you're watching the show and you do comic books and you want an action figure made or a 3D model, any kind, send me a message and we'll get you hooked up.
Cool thing. Russ, tell folks how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at russleach.com. You can get connections to my merch. You can get death on a mug now. There you go. You can pick up Only Death Can Save Us. You can go back and see over on Panini UK.co.uk. You can pick up all the Doctor Who magazines that my work would have appeared in. The latest one being the Doomsday Special. And you can find out all about that there. You can sign up to my email list over at the site. Also, all my social media connections, sign up to my Instagram, pop a piece of artwork up there. Should be every day. I've been a little lackadaisical this week for lots of different reasons, but there's a piece of artwork up there every day, either archived or brand new. So you can get all of that over at russleach.com.
Cool. And folks, I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can find me over at aerocomics.store. Wearing a different hat today. I left my other hat out in the car, and I'm too lazy to run out and get it. But you can find me over at aerocomics.store, where you can get books like, not like that one. You can get books like Herobot Zero, Paragon. It's a great superhero story character I created. And Herobot Zero has 2 issues in Calico Shard. Also, soon. Fool #1 will be available over there as well. I have physical copies of that, and I will be at the really cool Comic-Con this weekend, starting tomorrow here in Flint, Michigan. So if you swing by, say hello, tell me that you saw the show here or that you watch us, and I'll give you a free funny book. So free Arrow comic available there. Just stop by, say hello, and get your comic. So other than that, you can catch us again next Friday. You can catch us on Saturday morning. We have a great episode done up. I brought out a whole stack of oddball Marvel comics to look through, and we kayfabed it just like we do here. And we got through maybe 6 issues of it. So I still have a stack about a foot tall that we still have yet to go through. So some great stuff like Doc Savage. Number 2. Look at that. Look at that Steranko cover. You can stare at that for a while. Just beautifully done. Can't argue with Steranko. Anyway, lots more stuff over there. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Miscellaneous Marvels is the title of the episode, and it's a good one. And the chat will be open. We just won't be reading from it because it's a pre-recorded show. Next week, everything's all live again. So we'll be back here next Friday to go through the rest of the Toth book. And next Sunday, probably more Marvels. So it'll be a good time.
Fantastic.
This hat looks a little goofy, doesn't it? Anyway, never mind.
Remember, folks, if the women don't find you handy, or if they don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
I'm going to clip that. Yeah, I'll clip it. Remember, folks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Women can't find you handsome. At least they can find you handy. That and good luck. We're all pulling for you.
Yeah.
You ever see Red Green, Russ?
No.
He's just,
purely
it's
purely
stuff
Canadian
from the colonies.
Yeah.
Stuff from the colonies. No.
Stuff from the colonies.
None of
He's
that.
got a pair of suspenders, and one side is red, the other side is green.
Is that from the same time period as the Kids in the Hall? Is it? Or?
Yeah, around that time. Yeah, maybe a little later. Okay. It's a little bit more backwoodsy. He talks about the man's universal tool, the roll of duct tape. Makes all sorts of oddball stuff, and
sounds very 80s Australian.
Yeah, kind of like Tool Time, the Tim Allen show around here. Very, very much, man type thing. They end every episode at the Possum Lodge where they do the man's prayer.
I just see Russ'
man,
internal monologue now.
Yeah.
He's like, that's just all beans.
Yeah.
Internal monologue. You consider me far deeper than I actually am.
Folks, we deeply appreciate you watching. Make sure you go visit your local retailer. Dig through those boxes, especially the ones closest to the floor. You don't know what gems you can find there in their $1, $2 box. There's some great reading out there. Comics is a wonderful format. Don't let the modern stuff put a bad taste in your mouth. There's so much other stuff out there. There's so much great work still out there to be discovered. You haven't seen it all. I haven't seen it all. None of us has seen it all. And we just love showing it off to you here every Friday and Sunday at the Indie Comics Network, at the Russ's channel, Black Belt? comicbookblackbelt.com, and over on the Randy Zim YouTube channel as well. But the Indie Comics Network, you can go there and catch the whole archive of all of the stuff, the Sunday Funnies and the Comics by Night. We've looked through a lot of great material, and there's still so much more to come. So make sure you hit that like and love button on your way out the door, folks. We deeply appreciate it. Any type of activity on this channel helps with our algorithm. So appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed to the Indie Comics Network, please do so. Hit that bell for notifications. There's a lot of great programming on this channel. We're just 2 shows of it. So there's shows running all the time. Most of them aren't as early in the morning as we are. So in fact, all of them, as far as I know, nobody's up as early as we are. Wahaha. But anyway, deeply appreciate everybody watching again. Remember, hating ain't creating.
It certainly isn't.
And get out there and positively talk about comics for a while. Nobody needs this drama bullshit that's out there. So
no.
Excuse my French. But,
so, Auf Wiedersehen. Farewell.
Take care, everyone, and see you soon. we're going to go out with a few bumps and a disclaimer that I always forget to run at the start of the show, just in case we get overly opinionated. Here we go.
Das wird dann, yeah.
The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors.
The name Jack Kirby is pretty much synonymous with comic book art. The man was and is a legend, not only because he was one of the principal architects of the Marvel Universe and the co-creator of Captain America, the Fantastic Four, Thor, Iron Man, the X-Men, the Hulk, and the Silver Surfer, amongst many others, or because he was the originator of the epic Fourth World saga, which gave DC Comics such an endearing villain as the diabolical Darkseid. But because, well, he was there pretty much at the beginning, back in the earliest days of the American comics industry. The importance of his contributions to the development of the fledgling industry cannot be overstated. He may not have created it single-handedly, but he was certainly one of the reasons it took off the way it did, and a multitude of books have been written about the man and his life. But this one is different. This is the story of Jack Kirby, the man and his life, but it's also the story of its author, Glenn B. Fleming, an artist whose own life and work has been shaped by Kirby, and of how he met him and what happened when he did. It is an intensely personal account of one man's quest to come to know his hero, and along the way, through a fascinating mix of anecdotes, personal photographs, and correspondence, it sheds new light on the man justifiably known as the King of Comics. And now, all this can be shared with the world in this book, propagated by New Haven Publishing and available in all leading bookstores throughout the world. Come along for the ride. You'll be glad you did. It's an epic journey.
The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all gravy, baby.
Now on Sunday mornings, longtime independent comics creator Randy Zimmerman brings to you a podcast that talks about the lighter and more whimsical side of comics, the fun side of comics. That's right. Sunday Funnies is back Sunday morning, 9 a.m. on the Indie Comics Network on YouTube. Check it out. Special guests, great comic talk, good times. See you there.
Look, everybody's entitled to be an idiot.
How can you close me up? On what ground?
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
You're winning, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.